Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to watch Darcey and Stacey again. Season 4, they changed, I think, the opening song. I believe it's their song, and good for them, because I think they'd probably get some royalties from that, some notoriety for being musicians. So let's watch Darcey and Stacey, Season 4.
How are you with this dude right now? Cut him. Cut him now.
My friends have seen me do this over and over again, and I understand. They're frustrated, but this time around, I'm not gonna let anybody hurt me.
Me and Darcey, we work in our relationship and make it better. I want to be with Darcey the rest of my life. Will you marry me?
Yes.
I'm glad they're having the recap because I think I forgot about a lot of this. They go back and forth with this relationship, so if you would have asked me if they were together or not, I would have said, well, no, but I don't know if I would have remembered all the back and forths that we saw, but I guess particularly in the last season.
I got engaged again, but this time it's the real deal. I just have to trust that she knows what she's doing. We have some good news. We decided to do a twin wedding.
You're not even ready to be married, Darcey. Train wreck coming down the tracks.
Yeah, I'm remembering. I mean, it's certainly the pattern that the family exhibits, particularly the dad. I'm just trying to think what I would say in a situation like that. Might I have my concerns? Sure. But I wouldn't want to ruin someone's situation. I've been there before where a friend or a family member is heading into a marriage and I'm like, I don't know if this, but I very quickly will say, well, what do I know? I'm not there. I don't know how they come together as a couple. I don't know their needs. I don't know their history. I don't know all the factors. I have my personal point of view. I've talked about this before. As a couple therapist, I have front and center information from couples in my office who present the good times and the bad times. And over time, I have learned that even then, with all that data, I still do not know if a couple should stay together or not. I might have my personal opinions, but the decision or the functionality of a relationship is elusive. It's magical. It's an art form. It's elusive. It's not something that you can measure scientifically. You just have to ask people, is it worth it to be in this relationship? Every relationship has its problems, right? Every relationship has its issues. And where do you gauge? Is it too much of an issue? Are issues too big for us to logically be in this relationship? That's a nonsensical question. So, and a lot of times individuals like Darcey, regardless of who they're with, there will be issues, maybe significant issues. So to say that the issues with Georgie are somehow unique or worse than they would be with other people, it's just, I don't know if anyone could say that. So I'm just trying to imagine what I would say if I were the dad, and I think if I were the dad, I would hope that I would say, congratulations, I'm so excited for you. And then maybe behind the scenes, one-on-one, away from the cameras, away from the kids, away from everybody, especially the kids. I mean, the kids are getting up there in age, so they're not, but I don't know. I mean, we sometimes overestimate the maturity or the lack of negative effect that can happen to a kid in a situation like this, even though they are a teen. So yeah, I would at least err on the side of caution and not air the dirty laundry in front of the kids, because the kids might have a harder time navigating all that, noticing everyone's interests and upsetness. If you've ever been in a situation like that as a kid, as a teen, or even as an adult, you can be 35 years old and witness a fight between your parents or between your mom and your grandma, and it really puts you in a weird position. I'm not saying it's always a negative, but if I were the dad, I would just like to think that he would say something nice, and then behind the scenes he might say, hey, I'm just a little concerned. The dad's pattern is not that way. The pattern with Darcey, and particularly in this family, is not that way. A lot of people seem to scapegoat her and to consider her to be irresponsible and frivolous and stupid or whatever. Even Stacey will be that way with Darcey. So I point all this out because I'm always looking for signs of the ongoing systemic pattern in this family. And if this is real, because we can never know since it's a reality TV show, if it is real, then this would be a big red flag of a pattern in this family of putting people down. The messages to Darcey could be a double bind, could be crazy making, going in opposite directions. One message is you're only as good as your relationship, or you're a failure because you don't have a wonderful, fairy tale wedding and relationship and marriage. You are worthless. There's something wrong with you. You're the worst person in this family. Look at Stacey. How come you can't be like Stacey? While at the same time of everything you do, regardless of what action you take, we are going to consider you to be stupid and may always make, see, we told you so. Those opposite messages of you need to have a marriage and what's wrong with you, you will never be able to have a marriage. And her caught in that zone and all the things that she does to try to scramble to force the round peg into the square hole throughout the series that we've seen on 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know. It's notable.
Facts.
Georgie was trying to trigger, and I just wasn't having it. I hit my limit, and I said it's over. And I know this time it's done.
Okay. I'm forgetting all of this detail. Did this happen? I don't remember much of this. I think it's because maybe it was a while ago, or I'm getting old and my memory is going, or their relationship is going back and forth. So I don't know. It's just, if y'all had forgotten too, I guess it's good for me to include this footage.
Fly like eagles, soaring through the sky.
Send them out! Send them out! Let's go!
Here we go.
Yeah, when I was younger, I definitely would have done something like that, but I don't know. I've seen too many Reddit videos on Reddit where stuff like this goes horribly wrong. So, I think I'll not be doing something like this. I don't know.
It's been 3 months since my breakup with Georgie. It was a lot leading up to that moment. I knew that this relationship was just kind of spiraling out of control. I didn't feel like he was there emotionally to support me, and I tried to talk to him about it very calmly, very maturely, but I was never getting the responses back. It was just very cold and
Okay, so we're learning this is 3 months after the breakup between Georgie and Darcey, so it would have been a while back from current date of today, of the time that I'm recording this. So it's one thing to think about. The other is she's continuing the narrative that he's completely to blame and she is not, at least in terms of what she's saying here. I don't know what really happened in their relationship, but from what we saw on camera, it sounded like there was stuff going on behind the scenes that was concerning. Things that Georgie was doing behind the scenes that were potentially awful, and he was very good at not showing that on camera. I don't know, though. It's hard to know. All we know is what we saw on the show, and Darcey was not just being calm and cool and collected and rational and fair. We did not see that. I don't remember the details because it's been a while. It all kind of blends together, but I do know that, I don't know if it was last season or the two seasons ago, there was that scene in the kitchen where she was trying to apologize. Oh, it was after Michael, after the blue hair guy at the beach, and she was trying to kind of apologize, but she really did not apologize. And then he often would actually communicate. Now that I'm remembering, he often would communicate in a healthy way, at least on camera. He would not get angry and hostile. He would express like, "Hey, that hurt my feelings," or "That made me feel bad." He definitely had a tendency to give the silent treatment and avoid and punish through cold silences. But in the end, he would always come around. He would always lead the charge with an apology. So it doesn't look great for her in terms of her future, whether it's with Georgie or anyone, if she can't have any self-awareness. You would just think that there would be something in there by now. But why would we think that? I mean, she hasn't exhibited it yet. Something along the lines of, there were things about him that really were not great and you didn't really see it on camera. But, I had some issues. I'd get triggered and I'd start blaming him. I think I was really focused on my feelings and not his a lot of the time. And I didn't really listen to him or whatever. Something like that, you would hope. And My conceptualization of Darcey regarding why, if that is true, which I can't know, why that would happen, why that would be a part of her tendency, personality, would be that usually the reason is that people have so much shame about who they are and what they are and how they feel that they avoid it themselves, and as a part of that, they avoid even acknowledging it out loud. They just feel like it's just easier to keep rolling down the hill. It's just like, you just keep moving, just keep moving, keep moving. Don't stop and smell the roses, because if you do that, you're going to have to look at yourself and acknowledge that you have problems. And we all understand that, I am a horrible, horrible, horrible person that no one will ever love me. I'm stupid. I'm irrelevant. I'm too emotional. And that dragon is always chasing the individual such that they never want to stop and actually look at themselves. If they actually stopped and looked at themselves and actually had a therapist perhaps to help them with that, then they wouldn't see this worthless, shameful human being. They would just see a normal human being with normal issues. The problem is that if you keep running ahead of self-awareness and avoiding it, the problems pile up. The lessons that could be learned are overpassed, you overlook them, you surpass them. You don't take the time to actually say, do we imagine that for Darcey? I'll just talk about myself. There have been many moments, many moments in my life where something has happened that has not been good, and in my head, my analysis, my initial conscious analysis is that I'm not to blame, everyone else is to blame. In those moments, I have an opportunity to zoom out, look at the situation and myself, and see things that might be harder to acknowledge. Maybe things about myself, things about the way me and the other person interact, the assumptions we make, our own relational traumas, their relational traumas, mine, how they get triggered, what's the bigger picture, misunderstanding, mood, all that kind of stuff. So I've had many moments where I've had that opportunity. I would like to think that at least enough times in my life I've been able to actually stop and look and analyze and think and contemplate and talk and go to therapy or talk to friends or talk to the person that I was in conflict with. Probably that happens 5% of the time at the most for me, which I think if you're hitting 5-10%, you're doing pretty well. So I'm not saying that that's what I do every single time. I think it's normal to avoid. It's easier to avoid in the moment, seemingly. It's not easier in the long run, of course, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're preventing yourself from being able to learn and not have it happen in the future. But anyway, so in those moments, I'm able to look and think, okay, let's just assume that I'm at least half of the problem. 50% of the problem is me. I don't want to think that, and that doesn't feel right to me, but let's just go with that thought experiment. And over time, I usually learn that I'm at least 50% of the problem, if not more. And therefore, I know what I can change. I'm half the problem, then half of the problem is me. I can change my half. I can't change other people. I can try, I can suggest, I can plead, I can ask, I can request, and certainly that can be healthy too in a trusting relationship. But I do know I can change myself. I can put effort into changing how I react and what I do. And if everyone did that in a relationship, me and my wife, if she takes care of her side and I take care of my side, then neither one of us has to, more often than not, have to suggest to the other person, hey, I need you to look at this thing in yourself, because we're taking care of things on our own. Sometimes we might want to ask, say, what do you think I need to work on? Which is another very healthy thing to do. So all of that is necessary, years and years and years of that. Daily check-ins, frequent check-ins, what am I learning, wisdom, self-awareness, corrective experiences, trust, and yet I have problems. And it's not easy. So I don't get the impression that Darcey has done that at all. And usually it's because of, one, that shame, being shamed. And I get the impression that Darcey has been shamed throughout her life in a variety of ways, not only from her family, but I think from her peers when she was young. And shamed online, which is interesting, right? A lot of people shame her online, the way she looks, the way she dresses, the way she talks, her decisions, which is, of course, just perpetuating the problem, which you could imagine. So if she does have that inside of her, right, that I hate myself, one could argue that she is unconsciously recreating that environment in which she is constantly being told that there's something wrong with her by the public, because everyone knows that when you're on reality TV, that's what the public does. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. It's like a pastime that everyone has. It's like, well, let's watch reality TV and then we'll go online and go to their Instagram and DM them shameful things and tell them that they're stupid. It's like, what? Is there something else better you could be doing with your life? I mean, sure, you're sitting in the living room, you yell stuff out at the TV, the individual isn't going to hear it, but to actually go after them or publicly say things about them that is hurtful, I mean, these are human beings. So you can imagine that for Darcey, if she has this issue, she could be unconsciously recreating that to incur that, to confirm how she feels on the inside. It's a great kind of snapshot, this, the frame that I stopped on has kind of a self-reflective, sad look, a hurt look to her. Anyway, so if she does have that, yeah, she's running from shame, and she is never given an opportunity to just stop and say, wait, so what do I want? And what can I change about myself? How am I thinking that's actually playing into this problem? Are my priorities weird? Am I over prioritizing fame and money and prestige and class over humanness and connection and really? I mean, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on, right?
I'm gonna waste any more of mine.
Have you gone on any dates? Have you been on dates? Have you met anybody?
I mean, I don't want to rush anything. I want to heal completely before
start dating.
I open myself up to another person.
Okay, so she's talking about wanting to heal, which is fantastic. I don't think she wants to heal in the way that I would recommend, given what I've seen on the show. And I'm guessing what she means is just not date. A lot of people will say that, and Darcey has said that in the past. Essentially, it's like, in order for me to prepare for success in relationships in the future, I need to take a break from dating and heal and get to know myself. That is a great sentiment. It could work potentially, but Darcey, in my book, doesn't do anything to actually enact that task. To enact the task, in my opinion, would be to engage in long-term therapy with a therapist that knows what they're doing, who can compassionately walk her through the process of looking at herself, healing from her relational traumas, having self-awareness, having the differentiation and the self-love, the self-compassion to look at her own flaws and to start to recognize what's going on there, to have self-esteem outside of the things that I think she prioritizes, like prestige and looks and all that kind of stuff. So that would be healing, but I don't think she's doing that. I think she interprets healing as just not dating, which is just kicking the can down the road. I mean, unless she's seriously doing something to help herself, the next relationship will potentially have even more problems, because the problems that she had with Georgie were on top of many other unresolved issues from the past that we witnessed on the show and also going back throughout her whole life. So potentially, without doing what I'm thinking that she should do, she could be even more vulnerable to the pitfalls she had in the past.
But I don't know if I should even do that. I feel like giving up.
Don't give up.
That's ridiculous to say that. You're like a sexy, hot thing. You can meet tons of guys here, right?
That'd be really nice, but I feel shy because I feel like I haven't flirted in so long.
What are you talking about? That's easy.
What are you waiting for? What do you need to do? You're beautiful.
So it makes total sense. Actually, it's actually a little encouraging that she's completely demoralized. I hope that she finds her way through it, but she's basically saying, Darcey, that it's pointless. She feels hopeless. Like, why even try? Which I think is acknowledging the reality of the situation, the long-standing, repetitive problem. And maybe this is some evidence that she's realizing maybe it's not them, maybe it's partly me. Now, I would hope that she wouldn't fall into an abyss of self-shame, like it's all me, it's all my fault. So there's that, but I don't know. I would consider this is at least something different than the past. In the past, she'd just be like, yeah, let's go. And now she's like, well, wait, I don't know if this is such a good idea. And then her friends, of course, immediately are just, it's nice. They're trying to be supportive. They're just like, no, you're great. Everything will work. Okay, that's nice, but did you pick up on the fact that she has no self-awareness and is not reflecting at all on her part? And she said she wants to heal, and so if I were her friend there, I'd be like, oh, great, if you want to take a break from dating, absolutely. What are you doing to heal? Because that is a wonderful thing to want. And what exactly are you doing now that you're trying to heal? What does that mean to you? I would really try to focus on that. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.